What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday. Today we're going to ask whether or not we would drink the Hasbro Kool-Aid. That's not really a jab. Let me explain, but give me a second first. I want to shout out this group. They're on Facebook, TFUK. The guys who admin that group, Luke and Gav, they hit me up, shout out to them, and they asked if I would, rock a shirt. And I said, you didn't have to do that. They're from the UK. The shipping was probably a nightmare, but they were kind enough to send me one, so I wanted to make sure I shout them out. Long story to this, two long stories. One, I'm wearing this shirt in next week's Sit Down Saturday, which was supposed to be for today. But when I went to edit it, I realized the mic was sitting in front of the emblem like the entire time, so it didn't give them any kind of love. So I figured I'd push that one back. So you're gonna see me in the same shirt next week. Don't try to play me for a poo putz. I just am gonna be wearing the same shirt twice in a row. Next week's Sit Down Saturday is an interview. It's about an hour long with Hung to Go of 215 Toys. He talks about how he got into third party, dealing with the companies, writing them, communication issues, all sorts of stuff. So don't miss that one. It's gonna be pretty good. Second story. So they sent me this shirt, and when I saw it, I was like, I'll give him a shout out, but it made me think about this situation I had when I was working at a loading dock. There was a guy named Mike Brooks who worked there, and he was one of those guys that wanted like self-imposed nicknames never work. Like, you earn your nickname and it just is what it is. I hate that figure of speech, by the way, but it's the fact. Well, he wanted people to call him Grifter, but no one ever did because he was a dumb and no one was going to call him Grifter, which is like a super cool name. But he had this leather jacket that he would put on, and it said Grifter on it, and then on the back it had an airbrush of the Wildcats member Grifter, like on the back. And he one time he said, "You heard the name?" And then he threw the jacket on, and he was like, "Now meet the man," which is like an ongoing joke in the circle of friends of mine. So when I saw this, it's got something on the back, and the first thing I thought of was, "You heard the name? Now join the group." But shout out to them. It was very kind of them. They do a lot of stuff for the community, especially for the United Kingdom over there, so I'm all about that. Emily is a part of it. I think the world of her. Cody's a part of it. I think the world of him. So thank you to both, and I'm definitely a shill for free t-shirts, so keep them coming. I'm kidding. Let me tell you what I mean by this question. It's not an anti-Hasbro question. I'm sure people are going to think that from the title. I was debating on whether or not to do this for if it teases the court, but I'm not going to. I will do at some point this coming week an SDCC coverage of a lot of the releases, and we'll talk about them. But this raises a very interesting question to me. I don't know if you guys have seen this Optimus in this side swipe, but if you haven't, let's take a look. So it looks like Hasbro's new line is going to be called Siege, which is based on the War for Cybertron motif. And we're getting a lot of reveals now from SDCC, so I'm sure you guys are enjoying all of that. But earlier in the week, we got reveals of this Optimus Prime and Sideswipe. And there was something that stuck out to me immediately regarding it. And let's start first with this Sideswipe. We got a little bit of hollowness in the thighs, we got a little bit of hollowness in the forearms, but overall, it doesn't look as hollow as what we've been used to seeing recently. The proportions are still a little wonky, but what I really want to point out is the paint. We got dry brushing on the legs. So let's hold that. Ask ourselves, could we possibly have some paint on the red? So less hollowness, more paint. We also have what looks like an ankle rocker. So more articulation. Let's move on to the Prime. Ankle rockers? Check. Less hollowness? Check. Possibly some paint? Too soon to tell. But it looks like there's even a paint accent on his foot. And then we have weathering throughout. On the thighs, on the shoulders, on the forearms, and it's two types of weathering. It's regular dry brush weathering, and then it's also like silver paint chips added. We can see it on the helmet as well. So, what do we complain about with Hasbro regarding the actual product? There's tons of other things to complain about. Distribution, false scarcity, all those sorts of things. I'm with the shit on all that. But what do we normally complain about regarding the product? Lack of articulation, lack of detail paint, hollowness. A lot of those complaints seem to be addressed. Now, I've been saying this for a long time. When I got into Marvel Legends, they were trash. But now, they're pretty good. Pretty good. And when I got into Marvel Legends, I think they were around $18.99. They're now like $22.99. When I got into Black Series, they were $19.99. They're now about the same price, $22.99. Black Series set a new standard with sculpt and paint and part count, to be honest, for a 6-inch figure. And they've had some peaks and valleys in that line, but for the most part, for a $20 figure, they're good. They've also increased their quality with the digital paint application, and even now, looking at some of the stuff I'm seeing at SDCC regarding that line, it's looking pretty good. Pretty. Pretty good. I've always said, why are we seeing the improvements in these two lines and not in the main line of Transformers? And the general response has always been paying for the engineering. Maybe. But for the most part, their deluxe, which is their bread and butter, it's not rocket science. It's not the Rubik's Cube of engineering. It's more like that cube in Hellraiser. That was a joke. A lot of times, in my opinion, their Legends are more engineered than their Deluxes, and their Voyagers sometimes can be barely engineered at all. But maybe I wasn't thinking about the right thing. Maybe what I should have been thinking about is this is a toy that's priced at $14.99. Now I know sometimes they go up and down, and like people have seen them at Toys R Us, $17.99, etc. But if they make these kind of improvements and they keep it at the standard price, then great. That's all the better. But I have two questions. This is mainly me asking you to get involved in the discussion, because I don't really have a horse in this race, nor a dog in this fight. Or as my buddy Matthew Deluxe Baldwin would say, I don't have a horse in this fight. But my main question is this. If what has made you steer away from the main line has been these criticisms, which I can completely understand and sympathize with, if they fix them, or most of them, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Meaning, if that price raises from, and look, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what a deluxe costs because I don't buy them. But when I did partake, or wet my beak from time to time, they were around $14.99. Now let me ask you this. If that price were to go up to $20 to $22, are you back in? I think this is an interesting move for them, and I applaud Hasbro for this, because it looks like the Transformers line is really starting to get the love that a lot of their other boy lines are getting. But if those improvements come at a higher price, it's going to need its fan base to rally behind it in order to make it successful. Or we're going to go back to the trash feet, the trash paint, and as my buddy Dust from Into the Realm would say, waffle life. So my question for you is this. What improvements would you like to see made in the regular Hasbro line? And what price point would you be willing to spend for Legends, Deluxe, and Voyager? If you want to throw Leader Class in, you can go ahead and do that as well. But I personally think if they go this route and they really nail it down and make it on par with what they've been doing with their Legends and Black Series recently, they could sell Legend Class Transformers for $15 a pop, Deluxe for $20 to $25, Voyager for $30 to $35, and Leader for $50. And I don't even know what a Leader goes for, so I might just be quoting the normal Leader price. But if the normal Leader price is $50, you need to have your head examined, because they're not worth that. But what if they made these improvements and it was? Are you willing to pay? Or would you rather pay less and get less? The reason why I pose this question is because oftentimes in this fandom, I find people praising a product, settling for a product, or purchasing a product based purely on price. Not on sculpt, not on paint, not on articulation, not on build, on price. I see it time and time again. I went with the such and such because it's $30 less. And then I'll buy the $20 upgrade kit and try to make it work. Which my buddy Robert D says, I feel like I'm name dropping a lot today, but he says that's throwing good money after bad, and I'd have to agree with him. Money is a very sensitive thing in this fandom. I often hear, I can't afford this. I can't afford that. And the truth is you can, you just have to work harder. That's the way life is. I work overtime to pay for my collection. Doesn't come out of our normal family budget. Some of my buddies have a second job where they would pick up an extra shift here or there to pay for their hobby. They couldn't afford to spend the amount of money that we spend on this junk if they didn't. But you work, you earn, you pay. Or you save and go for a quality over quantity approach. But what this could mean is both quality and quantity for the Chug collector. And although it doesn't interest me per se, I would hate to see the fandom not rally behind this if they were Chug collector. Because this could be very telling where toy companies in general could go at a mass retail level. NECA just got picked up by Target. With Toys R Us out of the picture, the landscape is changing. But it could mean a better product for everyone if people are willing to pay. And that's my question to you. I'll be back later on in the week with SDCC coverage and a few reviews here and there, and then back at the end of the week with an hour-long interview with Hung to Go, giving us a little peek inside to the third-party world of distribution. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.